This is one of the toughest neighborhoods in Chicago. The last thing I expected to see here was rows upon rows of fresh vegetables. But in fact, that's exactly what LaDonna Redmond showed me.
This was a vacant lot.
Redmond led an effort to start what she calls urban farm sites in the neighborhood. Why? Because no matter how hard she tried, she could not find any fresh produce here.
What are we growing in here?
Yeah, any number of things. There's those are collard greens on the far aisle there, and those are turnip greens right next to them. In the second row here, this looks like peppers.
Green leafy vegetables.
Absolutely.
Something that's hard to get around here otherwise.
You will not be able to find this around here.
For Redmond, her concern became personal when she learned her son Wade had food allergies.
I read, and tell me if this is an exaggeration, that in some places, maybe this place, it's easier to get drugs or even a handgun than it is to get fresh vegetables.
That's my philosophy, yeah.
Really?
I mean, yeah. You could probably buy, right now, if you wanted to, you could buy illegal drugs. You can get access to a variety of illegal drugs. If you wanted to buy a gun, you could buy a gun in this community. But if you wanted to find an organic tomato in this community, if you didn't want to come to our urban farm site, you wouldn't be able to buy one.
A long way from grocery stores, most people do their shopping at convenience stores, like this one.
This is where people typically come to get their food.
Yes.
What are they going to find?
They're going to find a lot of liquor, cigarettes, candy, pop, potato chips, and if they're looking for cereal, there's cereal there. They ran out of whole milk. They'll be able to find some of that in there as well.
What about the tomatoes, collard greens?
Probably not going to find tomatoes and collard
Produce.
greens. No, there isn't any produce in this particular store.
With no supermarket chains willing to do business in the neighborhood on their own, Redmond thinks government should step in to give grants or other incentives to bring them in. She says it's about a lot more than just food. High blood pressure, diabetes, and obesity are all significantly higher among African Americans and other minorities, while life expectancy is lower.
I think it definitely is related to the access to healthy food issue. I mean, most of those diseases are diet related. Unfortunately, I don't think people see it until they actually have those chronic diseases. And then the doctor says, change your eating. Well, okay, easier said than done. How do I change my eating? I'm surrounded by all kinds of food. I don't have access to fresh fruits and vegetables.
What are you guys buying in there?
Chips.
Chips?
Chips and candy.
Let me see. What'd you get?
Hey, I got some chips. She got
Sunflower seeds. Hey, Roxanne, how come you're not buying like tomatoes and fresh vegetables? What's wrong with tomatoes?
Tomatoes ain't good enough.
Tomatoes are nasty.
It's good.
Most everything that's in the center aisle of that store at its core is corn or soybean produced or based. We don't have a similar kind of support system for fruit and vegetable producers.
And she's right. Farm row after farm row, acre after acre, corn and soybeans dominate the American agricultural landscape. These two crops alone accounting for almost half the acres planted in the United States. And corn and soybeans wind up in almost everything we eat. Remember, soybeans, usually in the form of oil, account for 10% of our total calories in the United States. Corn is even more ubiquitous, with high fructose corn syrup in sodas, ketchup, salad dressings, desserts, and many other processed foods. In Iowa, corn is more than food. It's a culture, a way of life celebrated every summer at festivals.
But on his farm, with his corn and stuff,
Iowa's Tom Harkin is chairman of the Senate Agricultural Committee and a chief architect of the Farm Bill crafted in Congress this year.
Is there a correlation between the existing Farm Bill and the obesity problem?
I believe there is a correlation between farm bills that we've been passing for the last 20 years and the incidence of obesity in this country. That's why I keep saying we've got to start promoting alternative crops and fruits and vegetables and safflower, things like that.
That's a remarkable admission for the senator from Iowa, the nation's top corn-producing state. If you want to get a sense of the vital role agriculture plays in the United States, Just look at the walls of the Capitol. But as we look closely, all crops have not been treated equally. Apples and most other fruits and vegetables are considered specialty crops. As a result, they're not eligible for direct payments under the Farm Bill. But the new Farm Bill does provide $466 million for grants to help fruit and vegetable growers.